Earlier today, the Labor Department released the May jobs report. And despite some positive signs, the legacy media has been forced to acknowledge the conflict between the rosy numbers that are reported by employers and the more sobering report that's coming from U.S. households. These conflicting pictures could possibly be squared by recognizing a reality that most mainstream economists refuse to acknowledge, and that is the labor force has expanded because a sizable portion of the jobs added have gone to illegal migrants. With more American families living paycheck to paycheck, does that explain possibly the disconnect? Well, joining me now to discuss this is Congressman Ron Estes. He serves on the Budget Committee as well as the powerful Ways and Means Committee. He represents the 4th Congressional District of Kansas. Congressman Estes, always great to see you. Welcome back to Washington Watch.
Well, thank you, Jody. It's great to be on.
All right, well, let's hit this jobs report. The economists are now acknowledging that the report from U.S. employers frankly, is in conflict with what working families are telling them. Let me have your input on all this.
Yeah, you highlighted a couple of things that really stood out in the jobs report. Part of it is it's just this gap between metrics that they've used for decades to actually compare what's going on, and both from looking at a household survey as well as looking at payroll numbers, and this growing gap between that probably does reflect that there's some illegal immigrants that are actually taking physical jobs, and as a result, that's having an impact on what you would think that would be jobs and income and wages to help with the living expenses of Americans. And the other thing that's really concerning a little bit about me in that jobs report, or concerning for me, is that the workforce participation calculation has dropped, and the unemployment rate has ticked up in looking at that. And so I think there's some issues out there. It may reflect why Americans across the country are feeling the pain from Bidenomics, whereas President Biden is sitting in his office and saying Bidenomics is a great thing.
Yeah, and the American people are having a hard time swallowing that pill. I wanted to play a clip for you. During the Ways and Means Committee hearing this week, the director of the Congressional Budget Office said that the immigration surge is going to result in some $1 trillion in revenue over the next 5 years or so. But then Stephen Goss, the chief actuary of the Social Security Administration, said this, and I want to get your response.
On the bottom line, really, immigration of all forms is actually a positive in the realm that we're in now, where the birth rates in the country are as low as they are. So immigration is actually a positive.
All right, immigration in any form is a positive. So I guess the terror threat, fentanyl flooding the U.S., maybe that's not so bad after all. What in the world how do you respond to this?
Yeah, it really is appalling that they would think about supporting and encouraging and condoning illegal activity and people that violate our borders to come across. And, you know, the way they calculate numbers, technically they can say, yes, they get some money coming into the Social Security Trust Fund, if you assume that some of the illegal immigrants that have come across can come up with a fake Social Security number and get a job and have payroll tax withheld from their work. But that doesn't work at all if somebody's getting paid cash under the table for the work that they're doing. And at the end of the day, they're bragging that they're helping the Social Security Trust Fund by taking money away from the pockets of these illegals that they say they want to have work. And what they don't talk about at all is that there's over $150 billion a year being spent in support for these illegal immigrants that have come across the border. So when they brag about a net positive of $1 billion, then they don't discount that it's costing $150 billion in other services.
Wow. Well, and just on top of it all, it's just astounding to me the left's effort to put a positive spin on the surge of illegal immigration. Just stunning to me. All right, as we wrap up, we've just got a couple of minutes left, but of course we're in an election year. We continue to see reports of the Biden administration expressing frustration that voters don't realize how great the economy really is. What's your reaction to that?
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it reflects the election crisis, the re-election crisis that President Biden's worried about. He's not worried about a border crisis. He's not worried about what the people are really feeling, the pain in their pocketbook as they're having to pay for groceries or pay for gas. Instead, he's worried about the optics around how he can get reelected, and that's what he's done this week with the executive order that he passed to try to couch that he's doing something at the border to stop this illegal immigrant crisis. Actually, he's engineered it from the things that he did back starting from the first day he was in office. And American people know that. They're aware of it. They understand the truth, even if they're trying to hide it in the White House.
Well, I think you hit it right on the head. Optics, political optics, and to me, it just continues to be astounding as well as shameful how politics interferes with that which is in the best interest of the country and the American people. Thank you, Congressman Ron Estes. It's always great to have you. Hope you have a wonderful weekend.
All right, great. Thank you, Jody.